Welcome to Supplemental Math Videos from Circle Christian School. Word problem strategies. Many of the word problems that you encounter in algebra fall into common types, and if you recognize the type and have a strategy for dealing with it, the problems are easier to solve. Dealing with math word problems is probably the hardest math concept a student has to deal with. But like any battle, it is all about the strategy. Strategy is devised from certain given facts and careful analyzation. Knowing a few facts will help you form a strategy for your word problem battle. Word problems are kind of like math stories, like the kind you have in literature. There's some main forms. I am going to focus on probably the famous 5 forms of math problems. So when you read a math story, if you try to kind of match it up with the type of math form that it is, you're practically halfway there. The first one are your geometry problems. Knowing things about your shapes and formulas really help you save a whole bunch of time. The next one is percent and rate problems. Hey, there's that little percent sign in there. Mixture problems are my favorite. These always have 2 things being mixed together. Distance and rate problems are those planes, trains, and automobile type of problems. And last are work rate problems. You and a friend working together. How long will it take to complete that job? Now remember, at any time you can actually stop this video, go back and take a look at whatever is happening or what type of information is there. I'm going to explain the 5 key points for strategy in dealing with any word problem as opposed to actually working out a word problem here. These are the 5 main points. Some books may have them just a little bit different, but generally this is kind of standard procedure. So as we work through these, what I'm actually going to do is pull up a word problem so that we can use it. Okay, the first thing that you're going to do with any word problem is read the problem all the way through before doing anything. In fact, I suggest that you read it out loud. Even if you're in study hall, you can kind of mouth it. What this does is it incorporates what's happening with a visual sense and an auditory type of sense. And now you've got your brain working 2 ways on this word problem. The next 2, number 2 and 3, are the real crucial parts of what happens with any word problem. You need to mark it up. Since we can't write in our books, I suggest that you make a copy of your word problem page so that you can write all over it, or even better yet, write it out on your page. You can do this while you're talking out loud at the same time. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But that allows your brain now to attack it in 3 different types of senses: something visual, something auditory, and something tactical. It now becomes something that you can touch and feel. Next, you need to use some sort of system to analyze, collect, and draw the data. I use a thing called the Buck system, B-U-C-K. You may have a different way. Feel free to use that if that really works for you well. No problem. In fact, if you got a really good way, come share it with me, because I like learning all these different ways of dealing with word problems, because like you, I have always had a hard time with word problems. It just takes a lot of practice learning how to analyze. It's not practice doing the problem, it's learning how to analyze. Not many of us are actual analyzing type of people. Just ask Mrs. Pilling. Okay. So I'm going to use my system here, my little Buck system, and start to isolate things that are happening within this problem. The first thing is to box a question. I am going to allow you to kind of pause this right now so you can read through it. As soon as you've read through it, come back and work through it with me. Good, you're back. So I'm going to box out the main question. The main question is how many pounds of each type of bird seed, of lawn seed, grass seed, is needed to make 20 pounds. There's my box. Now I'm going to go through and just underline some just very useful information that I need to know. Type A here sells for $10 a pound. I think that's important. You may find other things that are important. Feel free to underline them. Some things will kind of overlap each other and have $15 a pound. I know I'm going to end up with $20 a pound, and those are going, that grass seed is going to cost $12 a pound. Go through and circle any type of math vocabulary. That's going to be some sort of verb, or it will be some sort of math concept. Right here we got a verb of mix. That tells me a little bit. Selling gives me what the end result is. What are we going to do with this mix? I'm going to obtain. Also, here's mixed again. And I also need to have each type of seed. Okay, so I need to know something about each type of seed. Next is to knock out any unnecessary information. This problem is actually rather straightforward, but unnecessary information would be like a nursery down on Elm Street wanted to have a lawn seed sale for all their new customers. You wouldn't really need that. You would just need to know that maybe it was a nursery. Now we're going to work through modeling the problem. This is the part where we have to match up a word type form and do some drawing and putting things together. This is a very important step. And because I have this word mix here, I know it's probably some type of mixture problem, especially since it has money. Money and percent both have to do with mixture problems quite often. Okay. Now for the modeling. This is where I like to draw a picture and start labeling things. I know I have a type of grass seed here. We'll call it type A. And we also have a type of grass seed over here, which we'll call type B. And the end result's going to be a rather large pile, 20 pounds worth of mixed grass seed right here. In fact, if you want, you can call that C. Now I'm going to take a look at a little bit of what's happening with the math. Well, I know I'm mixing A and B, and that tells me that I'm adding things together, and that when it is all done, it's going to equal the result, the 20 pounds of grass seed. So I need to mix so much of my $10 grass seed here, which I don't know what it is, so I'm going to call it X. In algebra, if we don't know what something is and we're looking for it, we call it X. And I'm going to mix it with my grass seed B over here, which I know is $15 for so many pounds also. Now this gets to be a little bit of a question. What is this over here? It's not the X, obviously, it's something different. So what are we going to call it? You can call it Y and use a system of equations to go and solve it, very algebra-y. However, I like using my basic mixture form on this, and what you have here is actually the difference. The difference here is that we know we've got to get 20 pounds that we're going to sell at $12 a pound. Well, for instance, if A had 12 pounds, you would know that you would need 8 pounds of B, because what you really did was take the 20, the total, and subtracted what you had in A, which in this case is X. Great, look, it is now starting to look a little bit more like a math problem, and when we get all said and done, I'm going to end up with a beautiful green yard. All right, now we're going to go to solving and checking to see if the answer works right. So I'm going to take my information and put it all together. Well, we know we've got type A at $10 a pound. We're going to add it to type B which is $15 a pound, the 20 minus the X, the difference. And in the end, we're going to end up with $12 a pound. But we know that we're going to have 20 pounds of grass seed. And look, now we're able to go and solve our problem. I'm not going to solve it for you today, but if you would like to solve it and put it in your video section of your homework, I would love to give you 10 extra stars for doing so. If you have any other questions, or maybe you want to check a different type of video, I do have a suggestion at the bottom of the page here. You can go to YouTube and watch it. It is an excellent video for learning about strategies of word problems. Otherwise, guys, have a nice day and mow your mother's lawn for her.